We are going to take a look at some of the code that runs on an Arduino that helps capture the data from the sensors. A lot of this code is from the various examples. So if you download the Arduino IDE, you get a lot of the sample which you can then build on, and that's what I've done here. There's a lot of stuff out on the net. What I'm doing here is I'm setting up the various pins on the Arduino. So I'm saying here that the light detector is on pin A0, the motion sensor is on pin 4, the temperature sensor is on pin 10, and so on. So you set up the various pins, and then this is some very generic C code. It's an event loop that runs. So the setup routine runs first when you power on the Arduino, and then the loop function is called repeatedly. So here you do the setup once, and essentially over here at loop you keep measuring the values. So what you see here is I'm measuring the temperature value. I'm converting it from centigrade to Fahrenheit, and I'm doing all the round offs and making it look pretty, constructing a JSON object out of it and sending that data over from the Arduino. So it goes from the Arduino to the ESP8266, which then sends it into MQTT as a JSON object, which you can then read and parse and do all kinds of funky things with it. So over here you see some more code that looks at how to read the values from a light detector. I also have a little code here, little piece of code that does something interesting. It listens for messages coming from MQTT. Why do I need that? It's because if I want to send some action to be done to the Arduino, I need a way to get to it. So what the Arduino is doing is every 30 seconds or 10 seconds or whatever, it's publishing its values from the various sensors to MQTT. But it's also listening for incoming actions. And when it does get that, I call a method that I wrote called process action. What process action does is it's a mini one-line language that I just made up on the fly. So every action that comes in has the keyword action, which sensor ID it's meant for. Because remember that all the sensors are in my model, all the sensors are listening on the same topic. So the sensor ID is where each sensor says, yeah, it's for me or it's not for me. A message ID is a unique ID which I can use for logging. And then I have a verb which says at this point I've only implemented set pin. An object which is set pin something, and then a value. So right now the only thing that's implemented is action, sensor ID, message ID, set pin, and a value. So the way it works is this: if I want a relay to be turned on, then what I do is I get the motion value, I get the light value from the sensor. I check the light value and I say, hey, it's too dark, which is fine, it's dark. But when I sense motion and it's dark, I want to turn on a relay so that the light turns on, in which case my external system then evaluates that rule and sends back an action statement that says turn pin number 4 on. And if pin number 4 happens to be connected to a relay, that relay will turn on. So that's really what's happening in the Arduino.